Welcome to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show, where you'll learn the ins and outs of buying, selling, and investing in real estate. Our 1-hour program airs every Saturday at 11 a.m. and repeats Sundays at noon, and offers new topics and discussion each and every week. Learn how to sell your home for more money and how to be savvy when buying a home. With over 35 years of experience each, let's now join your local experts, Wally and Cindy Kerr, along with your host, Dave McKay, for this week's live show.
It is House Talk with Wally and Cindy Kerr. I'm your host, Dave McKay. The show is always brought to you by Best Protect Roofing and Construction, and also by Chris Doak with Gateway Mortgage. We are 3-1.
We are. We're sans Cindy today.
Yes.
I'm glad you didn't ask me to say hello for her. I was going to try to disguise my voice, but probably not a very good ventriloquist. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing great. It's amazing how the summer is wrapping up, and now my granddaughters are back in school, which is amazing.
Yes.
It always seemed that way as a teenager, didn't it? The summer just seems so short.
Yes.
I mean, the school year lasts an eternity, and then you get to the summertime, and it just blazes by.
Yes.
Days at the pool, days on the boat, and then all of a sudden you're back to school again. So,
and as parents, we love that. We celebrate it. It's a national holiday when the kids go back to school.
Holly, my daughter-in-law, was ready for the girls to go back to school, that's for sure.
I bet. Well, we are ready for a great day today, even though it's just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
Making big circles in the sky. And so what do we have on tap for today?
Well, it's been hot outside. I got some hot topics today.
Okay.
I really honestly do. We're going to call one of these, and it is a hot topic for people, Dave, is how do you get rid of your MIP or your PMI that's on your house payment? One of those is easy and one of them is a little more difficult.
Okay.
We're going to talk about preparing to purchase your first home, part 3 today. The last 2 weeks we did segments with Chris Doak, and we'll have him back today. The reason we're doing this, Dave, is you and I know that interest rates are going to go down here in the very near future.
Yes.
The big date is September 18th for the Fed, and even this week I'm still reading exactly what we've been talking about. No movement in interest rates. They're not dropping. And why is that? Because the Fed really can't say what they're going to do yet. In fact, Jerome Powell yesterday was in Yellowstone, I believe, and he was speaking about where inflation is. The one number they're watching right now, Dave, is unemployment. And they want to make sure that unemployment doesn't get out of control and continue to rise. That's not good. That means that the economy's not growing and people don't need workers, and that's not necessarily a good thing. So we're going to talk about this part 3 of how to purchase your first home, how to prepare for it. Not everybody's a great planner.
That's true.
And I mean,
that's true.
That's what this is all about, is all of a sudden you look up one day, you go to an open house or your parents push something in front of you and you say, dang, I want to buy that. But you got to get your ducks in a row.
Yes.
This is a big process. It's a big decision. Congratulations if you've made the decision to try to get into home ownership.
Yep.
That's what we're going to talk about today, so that'll be part 3. And then, Dave, which taxes are too low and why?
Taxes too low?
Which taxes are too low and why? And we're going to hit that on today's show.
That is none and no reason.
I don't know about that, Dave. Okay. So we're going to build some intrigue there. I promise we'll have a good show and have a lot of fun today.
Fantastic. Stick around. Of course, if you can't, we play it back tomorrow at noon on Sundays. And, of course, go to wallytalkshouses.com. Just after a few days, it'll pop up there. And you don't even have to go back and search. If you go there one time and click the little subscribe or notifications button, you'll get the notifications when a new show has been posted.
Yeah, that's right.
There as well.
Allie and my marketing team post those, I believe, every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. So if you subscribe, all it's going to do is give you a quick little notification and say, here's a link. Maybe you missed part of the show. Maybe there's parts that you'd like to hear again. You get a notification if you caught the show and you don't need it, just delete it. But we appreciate the opportunity to let our listeners tune in and catch parts of the show that they'd like to go back and hear again.
Here's the easiest thing to do. It's just a one-on-one conversation. Text Wally at 330-3000. You just text him. You don't even have to have a verbal conversation with Wally. You could just
they could
text you and just say, hey, Wally, I was listening to the show, or I listen from time to time. I had a question about this. What are your thoughts? Or I have a house that I'm thinking to sell. What should I do? And then you could obviously get back to them, but hey, well, what's your address? Let me know. I can look up the value for you, all that good stuff. But it all begins with just one simple text at 330-3000.
You know, Dave, at church last week, hello, Gene, if you're listening. I know you do every week. Gene said, boy, I sure did enjoy your show, Wally. And Gene, he said, I've bought a lot of homes over the years, and he said, I really enjoyed what you talked about last week. He said, I heard a lot of things that I didn't know about home ownership and buying and selling. And he said, that was really good. So he said, I enjoyed the show. Keep it up. So now my challenge is to keep Gene entertained every week.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep you entertained. Just stick around. We're back in a few minutes.
Hey, it's John Tesh, and if you're selling this year, there's only one man who's willing to guarantee the sale of your home at a price agreeable to you, or he's going to buy it himself. And that's Wally Kerr at your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty at 999-6000. He's the only man I'd call to sell my home because he has a proven system that just creates more demand for any home. And that's what you want. More buyers interested so that you, voila, put more money in your pocket. Call Wally today at your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty at 918-999-6000. That's 999-6000.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
I should have called Wally first.
That's the call I get when someone lists their home with another agent and it doesn't sell. She needed my written guarantee. If you really need to sell your home, why list with anyone else? Sell faster and for top dollar with my guarantee in writing to sell your home, or I'll buy it myself at a price we both agree to up front. No gimmicks. I'm Wally Kerr. Call me today at your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty at 330-3000. Get your written guarantee today at 330-3000.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful, from knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Doak with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233. Equal housing lender.
The Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show is presented every weekend at 11 a.m. on Saturday, and the show repeats Sundays at noon right here on KOKC. Let's get back to the discussions about how to buy right and sell for more with Wally and Cindy, along with Dave McKay.
It's so close that I can taste the nachos, the pizza.
I sure hope you're talking about college football.
I'm talking about sitting down and watching college football, or being at the stadium and watching the games and just having a grand old time. Now, one of the things I've really enjoyed doing is getting out in the back patio, a nice TV out there, and sit back on a fall afternoon and watch the games. I'm just so excited. It's football season.
I've got some cool ideas. By the way, you were talking about sitting outside. It took me back to this past week. Cindy never gets bit by mosquitoes, and she went out the other night and said they are in hordes and they're going to carry me off. There were so many this week.
Yes.
So I was out the other night and looked down at my arm, and it looked like a small bird. Yes. I mean, this thing was huge. So yes. I guess all that rain that we had. But what I started to say, Dave, is as I always look for content for our shows, I will visit several different websites. I saw a really cool article at realtor.com this week, and I liked it so much I watched it a couple of times. So as you play in your outdoor patio, there were about 5 or 6 different things inside this video that said, here's how you get ready to spend more time outdoors.
Okay.
And so they said, get a little bar cart to put your wine, to put your drink on with glasses and a place to hold your ice. But you can do more than that. Put plants on it, put a clock on it, stick your Alexa out there and put it on an extension cord so you can ask everything you want to Alexa.
Yes.
But my mother loves to play gin rummy. And put a card game out there.
Yes.
So another one was to really add some ambiance to your backyard and make it look bigger. Is go get some mirrors, believe it or not, and put them out in your garden and put them in your flower bed where it makes the space look bigger on the outside. I thought that was an interesting idea. It's quite a conversation piece. Dave, we added this a couple of years ago. I knew Cindy wanted one. Was one of those portable fire pits.
Oh, yes.
And I ordered that, I think, off of Amazon, and it's beautiful. It's got those little glass, round pieces that you put in.
Now, what color are those in yours?
These are clear.
Okay.
And this thing's real efficient with gas.
Okay.
And so when it gets cool outside, you can warm up next to that thing. Man, you turn it up to high, and that's really warm. So think about a portable fire pit. A couple other things. Nothing better than party lights, right? Just add the atmosphere with party lights.
Yes.
So whether it is lights that you stick down in the ground, now you can still probably buy those on closeout right now at Walmart, pretty cheap. But I like those Edison bulbs that you hang from your back patio.
Well, they look like the Edison bulbs, but they're LEDs, and you could change the colors. But the true Edison bulbs, with just that glow that it gives off.
You're right. Those Edison bulbs are pretty cool, and they're expensive. But you can buy those strings of lights for $30, $40, $50, I think, from Sam's Club. Talk about making that fun, and get the ones that change all the different colors, and the kids will love them. Something else that was kind of cool is add some garden art. You know, whether it's a bird bath, or whether it's a sculpture inside your backyard, can be good conversation pieces.
Oklahoma Sooner garden gnome.
There you go, absolutely. And then finally, how about throwing up some shade? Erecting a little pergola, something that's a little bit more solid, and using, you know, like when you go to the beach and they've got those nice pergolas with the shade and the fabric curtains and everything. Create a nice little shaded space where you can watch the game, where you can read a book, where you can do your own meditation or self-thought. You know, study, whatever it is. Those are just some neat ideas for throwing in a little outdoor ambiance, whether it is entertaining guests, grilling outside, enjoying your backyard, or watching some college football that starts with OU. And let's see, OU plays Friday night, and then I believe the Cowboys play on Saturday.
You like to throw around acronyms. And, you know, in the professional setting, it makes sense instead of, you know, reading off 10 words to be able to say the word ACORN stands for accrued, complimentary, blah, 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 blah. So with real estate acronyms, you mentioned we're going to talk a segment today about maybe getting rid of MIP or PMI. I'm pretty sure I know what PMI stands for, and I think I know what MIP is. I can't remember. Give our listeners a quick lowdown on why a borrower pays mortgage insurance and why it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Well, let's start with this, Dave. So it allows you to buy using leverage with less money down, and everybody wants to do that if they can, right? The least amount of money down. So we've talked in here about buying an investment or buying a bond.
Sure.
If you want to go buy a $100,000 bond, what does it cost you?
$100,000.
Yeah, or you might get it at a discount, and it matures after a certain number of years at $100,000, but it's not a big discount. How about a house, though? You could buy a $300,000 home, do an FHA loan with only 3.5% down.
Yes.
Wait a minute, $10,000 down payment, and you just bought a $300,000 investment that can appreciate, right?
Yeah. So
we buy these investments in hopes that they go up, and look how much real estate values have gone up. You know, even for homeowners who just put, say, 3.5% or 5% down. And that's always the goal of most buyers, is to put down, again, as little as possible and get the best rate and get into homeownership, right?
Sure.
Dave, when you pay for mortgage insurance, you're insuring your lender against loss because of you. In other words, you stop making your payments, they're going to lose, right?
Sure.
So you buy mortgage insurance. So PMI is always the easy one for consumers to remember what it is. It's private mortgage insurance, and it's on conventional loans.
Yes.
Now, you don't get to go find that private mortgage insurance company. The lender does, but it's a private company that writes mortgage insurance. Now, on FHA loans, like you said, the acronyms, it's twisted around a bit. Instead of being called PMI, it's called MIP. So it's mortgage insurance premium, and that's because an FHA loan is a government-insured loan. This is a government program that allows people to buy with as little as 3.5% down with a lower credit score. And then what they do is they just pay a premium to the government, because it's government insured, for the mortgage insurance. And it's typically cheaper than conventional. So what's going to perk up many of our listeners' ears today are, yeah, I've got it, Wally, but how do I get rid of it? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So Dave, for many first-time or repeat home buyers, FHA loans are great. They offer really good financing options, and it's less restrictive. Again, the down payment's lower, and the credit score requirements are lower. And it's affordable for so many, but you can actually pay more than you expect. And here's why. An FHA loan requires extra protection to cover the lender's liability. Remember, buyer gets in for just 3.5%.
Sure.
Is there a lot of risk there for the lender?
Yeah, they're on the hook for 300 plus.
Absolutely. Yeah. So they accomplish this through an upfront mortgage insurance premium and a monthly fee. So you're paying twice. Money up front and then money on every house payment. So this means that buyers have to make those payments no matter how much they put down, even if it's 10% or more. Okay. You've got to pay the mortgage insurance on an FHA loan.
That's fair.
So here's how you get rid of it. If you took your loan out and closed on your home after June 3rd of 2013, let's say 11 years ago, you need to have completed the following. You needed to have made at least a 10% or larger down payment when you purchased the home, or you need to have made on-time mortgage payments for the last 11 years.
Okay.
Now, if you don't meet those conditions, you won't be able to cancel your mortgage insurance premium, that's the FHA, while keeping your FHA loan intact. So you need to be really careful about that fact of if you made your payments on time. Okay, so if you don't meet either of those qualifications, what you'd need to do is probably go refinance to a conventional loan.
Okay.
There's two reasons here we want to address this. If you're in an FHA, you've had it for a while. First of all, if you bought your home 8 years ago, Dave, has their home value gone up?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yes.
right? What was one of the reasons you probably didn't take a conventional loan up front? Because you didn't have 20% down.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So now all of a sudden you've got all this equity, and you can go back in and refinance to get rid of the FHA MIP that won't go away.
Yeah.
But here's the other secret. A lot of people have to take an FHA loan because your credit score can be lower and you could still get a loan. Remember us talking in here so many times about the better your credit score, the better rate you get.
Yes, yes.
So now all of a sudden to refinance, you're talking about borrowing less, putting down a bigger down payment with no mortgage insurance at all. And over time, hopefully, your credit score, since we were all younger, I mean, my credit score's gotten a lot better than it was when I was in my 20s, right?
Yes.
Now my credit score is better. Now I qualify for a better mortgage rate. So that's reasons to get rid of it. You can get rid of PMI, that monthly payment, but you typically are going to have your loan paid down to below 80%. Check with your lender because lenders actually have the right to set forth their own criteria. But typically, once you've got it paid down to 78%, it typically drops off automatically on a conventional. Now, older FHA loans, that's exactly the criteria. FHA loans that are more than, say, 11 years old, again, you got to make all your monthly mortgage payments on time, and your mortgage has got to be 78% or less of what you originally paid for your home. Let's say today that your mortgage balance is $200,000 and your home value's gone up to $300,000.
Yes.
Okay. Your loan to value there is only 2/3. It's 66%.
Yes.
So your mortgage insurance could drop off. And then remember, Dave, that some people actually go in and make additional principal payments on their mortgage.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They want to pay that mortgage off in less than 30 years, and that also helps your mortgage balance fall down lower to where you may be able to drop that PMI off.
So does the same criteria apply for getting rid of the PMI?
That is absolutely correct. It's going to have to be, first of all, you got to make your request in writing. You got to have good payment history and be current on your payments. I can tell you this, if you call them and you've missed a payment this month or it was late, the last thing they're going to tell you is you can take the PMI off. So if you want to start thinking about doing this and getting the PMI off, be sure you're current on your current payments on the home. Don't call them when you're behind. And one of the other things they're going to do, Dave, is certify that there are no what we call junior liens, or like a second mortgage on your home.
Okay, and
because
we've
they won't drop
discussed
the
second
PMI
mortgage
off.
before, and what that's a whole other topic, of course.
Well,
but you could have that on a home. Yes.
Yeah, when you think about it, they look at that as being a strain. You
Sure.
bought the home originally and didn't have a second mortgage.
Sure.
Now you went and took one.
Yes.
What happens if you get in trouble financially again? You're probably going to stop making a house payment if you've got two mortgages.
And would someone still need an appraisal or some sales data to submit right for that if they're having that done?
You know, you'd need to show that the value of your home didn't decrease since you bought it, but that would sure be unusual. It's hard to believe anybody would let their home go back. Your mortgage company is watching whether you're making your payments or not. That's that old song, I always feel like somebody's watching me. And your mortgage company is doing that to make sure you're making those payments. So
we sing a lot more when Cindy's not here.
Yeah, we sing better when Cindy's not here.
Oh,
So
no.
they're going to probably want, just like on an FHA, they're going to probably want some neighborhood sales data or an appraisal. So you can call me, and I could help you with that if you want to see about getting this PMI off. Dave, your loan servicer, I want to point out again, must automatically terminate the mortgage insurance on a conventional loan when your principal balance is scheduled to reach 78% of the original value of your home But that's scheduled. If you've made additional principal payments, that's going to be paid down much quicker.
Yes.
If you got questions on this, you can give me a call. I'm happy to help out. Let's also, you said loan servicer a minute ago, and that threw a flag up. Remember that you might have taken a mortgage many, many years ago from Bank of America, and they may have sold to a different mortgage company. So,
3 times.
Yeah. So go to your current loan servicer where your payment comes from. Call the customer service number, probably 1-800, and just tell them and say, I'd like to inquire and see if I might be able to get the mortgage insurance off of my payment, and they'll tell you what the requirements are. Pretty easy.
Okay. That was a lot more information, and I understood most of it, which is always a struggle for me, but I got a lot of great information out of that.
Well, that's what we're here for, is great information for our listeners. And again, I always say, love giving information. Cindy and I are 37-year brokers. If you need an experienced broker, someone who's a good negotiator, to help you in selling or buying, we would just be honored to be your realtor. So call us anytime at 330-3000.
Well, a lot of wisdom from you already this morning, and we're going to touch on Wally's Weekly Wisdom coming up next. Stick around.
Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 330-3000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Wally has the buyers at Kerr Team Real Estate. Simply text your address to 330-3000.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
Do your plans this year include selling your current home and buying another one? With fewer homes for sale and harder to find, you'll need a way to win the home you want by beating out other buyers who don't have to sell a home first. That's why you need me. I'm willing to buy your current home with a short closing date and an agreed price so that you can write a firm offer on the home you want. I'll buy your current home so that you can buy your dream home. No gimmicks. Call me today to learn more. Wally Kerr at your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty at 330-3000. 330-3000.
The Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show is presented every weekend at 11 a.m. on Saturday, and the show repeats Sundays at noon right here on KOKC. Let's get back to the discussions about how to buy right and sell for more with Wally and Cindy, along with Dave McKay.
It is time for Wally's Weekly Wisdom, and this is pretty easy because Cindy's not here, so I don't have to guess this week.
She's had some good segments recently, hasn't
it's been fun to kind of bounce back and forth off of you two, but it's you here today. So what is Wally's Weekly Wisdom today?
We're going to keep this one really simple, and we're going to go back and really talk very briefly about what we talked about last week. Let's help home buyers right now who, again, are struggling with affordability and trying to decide what's best to do. My wisdom today is, if you're thinking about buying a home, make sure and talk about that float down option again, because rates were very quiet this week, and I saw several lenders say, look, folks, it may seem quiet in the marketplace, but it's going to be that way until the Fed meets in mid-September.
Sure.
And rates are not going to go up between now and then, and they're not going to go down because they're already down a bit, knowing that there is a coming rate decrease. We just don't know what it is.
Yes.
We don't know if it's going to be a quarter point or a half a point. So my wisdom this week is listen in. We're about to go in with a live call with Chris Doak to go with part 3 of how to get ready to buy your first home. And if you're ready to buy your first home right now and you've gotten a little bit excited because mortgage rates are as low as they've been in a year or a year and a half, it's okay to buy right now, but float your rate, get a float option, call Chris Doak about that. He'll give his number when we get him online here in a few minutes. And I just want to emphasize to you that this is the time, again, to get your ducks in a row and be ready to purchase.
When they start to come down a little bit more, well, there's going to be more competition, and that's what you don't want if you're a buyer.
Yeah,
it's great if you're a seller, but if you're a buyer, you can get the float down option. You have your affairs in order. Stay ahead of the game and get into it, right?
Yeah, 100%. So I told you I read Realtor.com pretty often. The chief economist said, look, inventory is just not going to spike up very quickly. It's going to remain a very competitive market before it ever balances out. So what you just said, Dave, is right. Is as these rates come down, and the more they come down, and the more talk that they're going to come down, more people are going to jump into the marketplace. And isn't it unusual, Dave, that we're talking about this right now? this time of year, knowing that normally as you go later in the year, it slows down and even fewer people want to sell.
Yes.
Yet we're talking about rates starting to go down even more as it gets toward the end of the year. I think that the pickings are going to get really skinny. Don't just wait and wait and wait. Maybe wait for rates to come down a little bit or float, because I do think they're headed that way for sure. But definitely be ready, because the competition will be probably very fierce in the springtime.
In just a little bit, when we get into our House Talk segment and we chat with Chris, I might just ask you real quick, the float down option, it's a 1 week window. So if you want to close in 30 days or maybe 45 days, if you can stretch it a little bit more, you want to get past that September 18th or whatever it is.
This weekend is August 24th and 25th, and the Fed's meeting really now is only about 3.5 weeks away.
That's true, yeah.
So a 45-day closing, as you're negotiating for a home, go negotiate for a closing date, say by the end of September, because the Fed will drop its rate on September 18th.
Okay.
There's plenty of home sellers that would be happy with the end of a September closing right now. You could float that rate down, and you can do that, but you've got to give the lender about a week's notice to do so. So go write your contract, write in a September 30th closing date, lock your rate today if you can get one at, say, 6 1/4.
Yeah.
And if the Fed makes the decision to drop its rate by 0.5 point, I think you'll be into the fives, and we'll all be doing high fives together, Dave, because that's where the rates will be.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into our second House Talk segment of the day, and this is part 3 of our 3-part series we've been doing the last couple of weeks, preparing to purchase your first home. And good morning, Chris. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Dave and Wally. Great to be here.
You know, we've discussed in weeks 1 and 2 how to get all of your affairs in order, if you will, how to get prepared to purchase that home. And I think really today is going to be the meat and potatoes of it, purchasing the home and what goes into that, especially for first-time home buyers. If we could just start off, explain maybe a little bit of their money needs, the cash flow they might need at the present moment of purchasing the house.
I'm going to start with the figure of 0. Because legitimately, there are instances where someone can get into a house with no money at the table.
Okay.
Isn't that unreal?
If you were going to go buy a CD today for $50,000, how much money do you have to go buy a $50,000 CD?
I'm not super smart, but maybe 50 grand.
I think that's what it is. I might need to get my slide rule out here to check that, or my calculator. But then here you're talking about maybe I could go buy a $150,000 or $175,000 or $200,000 home, and you could actually buy an appreciating asset that's expected over at least the next year to go up 2 or 3%, and you could actually buy it with 0 down. Now, to me, that's the American dream.
Yes.
You can actually get into home ownership for very little money. Guys, what even if you put 5% down on a $200,000 home? $10,000 out of pocket, and you bought something worth $200,000.
Yes.
It just doesn't happen anywhere else.
Your ROI on just 5 or 10% down after year 1 or 2, and I think 2 and 3% are incredibly conservative, but rightfully so, utilizing that. The ROI you earn just the first few years back is pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. And it's those more affordable homes, and you and I know this, Chris, those are actually the homes that are appreciating faster.
Yeah.
Affordability has just gone out the roof. It's just harder and harder to buy a home because the affordability has been going down and the home prices have been going up. So why not get on that roller coaster that just seems to keep chugging and pushing up the track, going higher and higher? Why not come up with just a little bit of money to buy an asset that's going to increase in value 2, 3, 4, 5, 6% per year? That's exciting for me to talk about because I've helped so many young families and first-time buyers to buy an asset that can appreciate, especially like what we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years, with a minimum down payment.
So, Chris, if they don't have to have any money, like you said, $0, obviously we've talked about credit score and maybe their work history and all that stuff. So that's going to change that variable, I would assume.
Yeah, let's talk. 0 is the first answer, but there's obviously not everybody can fit into that category, right? Or want to fit into that category. But what I wanted people to know is that literally there are programs out there, depending on if it's USDA 100% or VA or down payment assistance combined with seller concessions, sellers giving money for closing costs that allow someone to get in without any money. Now, if you want to just talk about a normal situation, a $200,000 house, someone wants to do a 3% down conventional loan, that's $6,000 down payment. And let's just say closing costs are in the $9,000 range. That's a $15,000 investment. if they don't do any of those other things. If they just want to do a normal 3% conventional or an FHA even, 3.5% down.
Chris, let's talk a little bit about money.
Yeah.
I would tell our listeners that there's this thing called earnest money. And if you've never heard what earnest money is, that's the you can trust me, I'm not going to back out money. And we're choosing a closing date that, let's say, is 45 days down the road. And I'm going to go try to get my loan, and I've got to pay for this credit report and appraisal. But it's just saying I'm not going to back out. And if I do, I lose my earnest money. So for our listeners, earnest money is typically held by the title company or the real estate firm, and it goes into an account, and that check is cashed. Okay. But it's not extra money that the seller gets. It's good faith money that says if you close on the home exactly as you've said you would do in the purchase contract, this money will be credited toward your down payment and or your closing costs. Normally for our listeners, Chris, it's kind of become a standard in our industry to see somewhere in the neighborhood of about $1,000 that most sellers want, or maybe as much as about 1% of the purchase price. Besides the earnest money, you and I know there are a few other things that have to be paid up front, for instance, like a credit report. Can you comment on that?
So some lenders do require a credit report fee up front. It's not something that we do. For us, the only fee that is paid up front, meaning when this is ordered, is the appraisal. And the appraisal varies depending on the property, but in general is around $550 and is paid once under contract and once we've disclosed the initial paperwork.
The last item I would tell our listeners is shop for a bit. Become a knowledgeable buyer. Even if you're just shopping online at realtor.com or Zillow or going to an MLS site, search, look at about what you should have to spend to get a certain amount of square footage for a home in the area you want and that's about the age that you want. So you can do some shopping there, begin to talk to somebody who's an expert in the field. I would love it if that's us so that our team can help you out if you're going to be buying a home. That's what we love doing, is helping first-time buyers, because with great service, they continue to come back to us over time as their needs change for their family, financial needs, moving out of state, whatever it is. So once you're looking at homes, Chris, you and I know that getting pre-approved is like buying the seller's confidence.
That's right.
Talk to us about the difference between pre-qualification, Chris, and actually getting pre-approved with Gateway.
So from a pre-qualification perspective with my team, we will get the application, we'll pull credit and get documentation to verify with the information that the borrower has given us so that we feel confident when they go out on the street and we've said they're qualified that they can go get this scenario that we've discussed. A pre-approval is one step more where that file has been taken to an underwriter and the underwriter has signed off on those verifications. What I will just say is there's a lot of lenders out there, when they give a pre-qualification letter, they've gotten the information, but they've never verified physically the data that's been put into the system.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's why some of those letters don't mean very much.
And this is something I think our listeners really need to hear. The Fed's rate is the same for every member bank across our entire United States. The Fed's rate is not one rate in Oklahoma, a different rate in California, and a different rate in Wisconsin.
Correct.
I think there is belief that if you look hard enough, you can just find a cheaper mortgage rate. But if the money costs the same for the overnight rate from the Fed, Chris, tell our listeners about why money pretty much costs everybody the same thing, and there will be some difference in interest rates, but your company always seems to be as competitive as anyone I can find.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're super competitive that way. And I will say there are times when I get questions from borrowers of, hey, I can go to this .com in Ohio and I can get an eighth or a quarter of a point better.
And Chris, do some of those places that advertise those low rates, do they also have like maybe some hidden fees or something that you may not know about and it's going to cost you more in the long run?
That's always a fun phone call of like, hey, I've been on this website and they say rates are this. And I said, well, that's awesome. Totally agree. I can actually get you the same rate. However, it costs this amount in buy down or this amount in upfront fees. Have you dug in with them to see if that's the case as well? And the answer is 99.9% of the time, no.
So here's what I tell borrowers. If you're shopping for rates, ask what their rates are and what their fees are to get that rate.
Yes.
And that's the big one. Once you've got someone pre-approved, we can take and put them into a car And literally with your processing team, because I know you run your office like we do ours, everybody has a very specific task. You have underwriters, you have processors, you have people that are calling customers back in customer service. You have loan officers like you. And so timetable for purchasing, you and I know it's actually possible to go get a loan closed, even though it's a challenge to do that. Someone could actually get a loan and get one closed in 12 to 15 to 20 days if they absolutely had to move, if they had everything submitted to you, their documentation.
Absolutely. Regulatory-wise, we can't close anyone. It has to be 8 days or more from when they get their loan estimate, and we've closed some in 8 days.
Now, that's really fast. For our listeners.
That's really fast and not normal. That's an appraisal was already done on the property. They transferred the appraisal to us. I mean, there's some other circumstances. But in general, if that hasn't been done, Wally, I always say when someone asks me how fast you can close, I would put us up against anyone in the market that closes faster than anyone. But I always ask, how motivated are the parties? Because if the borrower isn't motivated to get us everything we need immediately, then that can slow stuff down. But, we can absolutely move fast. 12, 15, 20 days is not out of the ballpark. And we've done 20 a lot in the last 6 months or more. So we're built to do that and have the ability to help people close.
Chris, most of our buyers will want to know that 30 to 45 days is pretty normal. It allows the title work to be done, the financing to be done, to get the inspections done, and then to do a final walkthrough. So that's really a very, very comfortable time. And so I would say that buyers, if they want to look around, if you want to buy a home, you may be looking too early if you don't want to buy for 4 months, because there's a really good chance the homes you look at and could fall in love with won't be available when you're ready to buy. True. But we normally recommend 60 to 75 days out from when you want to buy a home to start looking at properties. You don't need a whole lot of money, and then locking a rate just means I believe that the rate is as good as I need it to be today, and I'm going to talk to my loan officer like Chris and say, hey, Chris, do you think rates are going to come down, and should I float or should I lock my rate in? Isn't that correct?
That's absolutely right, and once they're under contract, they can do so. There is a program out there that allows them to lock before contract, but I typically think the best situation is once they're under contract, then we look at locking if they're within 60 days of closing. And we absolutely will see what's going on in the market and see if it's an advantageous time to do so.
Chris, you've become pretty much our go-to lender because of expertise and knowledge and experience. And let's face it, you've got a team just like we do. Everybody's got their own role, and they do a great job at it. So with buyers,
that's great.
It's helping with financing. We help them understand the contract, help them with inspections and negotiating repairs, help with final walkthroughs and closings, and we oversee that entire process. So there are some other elements here that we didn't talk about today, but that's where our experience as a real estate team will help anybody who's a first-time buyer, whether you're 17 years old or 97 years old. Dave, close us out on this segment, if you would. I've really enjoyed having Chris on today, and I think we've had a lot of good information here in our series.
Yes, and if anyone has questions and they're ready to move ahead and want to give Chris a call, Chris, what's your phone number where people can reach you very easily?
Thanks, Dave. 405-253-2276, 405-253-2276.
Now, we covered this topic, how to prepare to purchase your first home, for 3 weeks now. So if you want to hear the first week, the second week, and you want to hear a replay of this week, and maybe you want to share it with your kids or grandkids that are getting ready to purchase their first home, you can go to wallytalkshouses.com, listen to those shows, get them all the information. If you want additional information, just shoot Wally a text, 330-3000. You basically say, hey, Wally, I want some more info on my first home purchase, and you'll get a text back, and you guys can just chat on text, or you can shoot Wally a quick call and you guys can talk about it. But great information these last couple of weeks. And Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Nothing beats experience when selling or buying your most valuable asset. Be sure you interview Wally and Cindy and their experienced team by calling 330-3000 before you make your next move. We're back to the show right after this break.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful, from knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Stoke with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233. Equal housing lender.
If your home isn't selling in the current market, maybe you need my written guarantee. Your home sold guaranteed at a price we both agree to up front, or I'll buy your home for cash myself. No gimmicks. Call Wally today at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. 330-3000. 330-3000.
Hey, it's John Tesh, and if you're selling this year, there's only one man who's willing to guarantee the sale of your home at a price agreeable to you, or he's going to buy it himself. And that's Wally Kerr at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty at 999-6000. He's the only man I'd call to sell my home because he has a proven system that just creates more demand for any home. And that's what you want. More buyers interested so that you, voila, put more money in your pocket. Call Wally today at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty at 918-999-6000. That's 999-6000.
Would your home sell faster and for more money if it were in better condition? Introducing our Fix It to Sell program. For one reasonable, flat fee, we're willing to advance you the money to make needed repairs or improvements when you list your home for sale with us, so that you can sell your home faster and for more money. Call Wally at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty at 330-3000 to access our Fix It to Sell program. And remember, if you're selling your home, Wally has the buyers. Call us today at 330-3000.
The Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show is presented every weekend at 11 a.m. on Saturday, and the show repeats Sundays at noon right here on KOKC. Let's get back to the discussions about how to buy right and sell for more with Wally and Cindy, along with Dave McKay.
Okay, Wally, I think you're playing with fire here. Because, one, I think we're going to lose the remainder of our listeners because, one, Cindy is not here.
Well, true.
Okay.
True.
And you're talking about that, taxes might just be too low. What are you talking about? You're crazy that taxes are too low.
So, Dave, we get calls on this, and let me just kind of approach this from the start and make this make sense. So, county assessors, are only required to visit every property, people that pay taxes, once every 4 years.
Okay.
So the Oklahoma County assessor has got to drive by your property and review it once every 4 years. That's statutory. Okay. So annual increases in your assessed value are capped at 3% if you're claiming it as your principal residence, as what we call your homestead in Oklahoma.
Yes.
Okay. And for agricultural property. And then all other property, so Cindy and I have 10 rental properties.
Yes.
Those are not our homestead. We don't live in those properties, and I don't get a tax break for those. I can't file a homestead. The assessor could change the value of those by 5% per year.
Okay.
But on my homestead property, it can only change by 3% per year.
Okay.
Make sense? Okay.
Yes.
So this is why many homeowners are paying property taxes on their homes that are far below what actual market value would make them. Let me just give you a quick example, Dave. This is going to be easiest. Okay, so I look at a property that Cindy and I bought in Edmond. It's an investment property, and we bought it in 2017. And because it's not my principal residence and we don't file for homestead on it, the assessed value can only go up 5% per year. Okay, now the assessed value is something the assessor comes up with as far as a value, multiplies it times a percentage, and then you apply the tax rate to that. Let's just keep it really easy. In Oklahoma County and Canadian County, it's 11%.
Okay.
In Cleveland County, for instance, it's 12%. In Logan County, it's 11%. Hey, let's do some quick math, okay? Let's use a $100,000 home. So if the county assessor said a home was worth $100,000, and it was in Oklahoma City, the assessed value is 11% of that. What's 11% of $100,000?
That's
$11,000. Okay,
Yes.
there's your assessed value.
I like that you dumb it down for me.
Well, we got to make sure everybody understands this. Now, if it's a $300,000 or $400,000 home, just apply that 11%.
Sure.
Okay? You take that $11,000 on that $100,000 home and you just multiply it times the tax rate.
Okay.
That's what your taxes are. So, Dave, let's get back to this home we own in Edmond.
Okay.
We've owned it since 2017. What has the market done here, Dave, since 2017 as far as values? I mean, they're probably up 50%, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I looked this week before the show when I thought about this segment,
And when you go look at this property online, go to the Oklahoma County Assessor if you live in Oklahoma County. Look up your own address. Just do a search at the Oklahoma County Assessor's office. In this particular case, the assessor believes that this house that we own in Edmond is worth $303,000. But the taxable market value on it is $196,000, and that's what we're paying taxes on.
Okay.
Because it's capped to where the assessor can only raise my assessed value, Dave, by 5% each year because I don't have homestead on it.
That's
if I lived in it, it could only go up 3% per year if I filed it as my homestead property.
If you sold it and someone came along and bought it as their first house and they live in it, is that one of those things where the taxes get reassessed and now the taxes are based on the sales price?
Well, absolutely. That's where they get to catch up. So when I said at the first of the show that why are taxes too low and why, we can talk about it here, and the assessor's not going to just go raise your taxes. It's statutory.
Okay.
And they can only go up 5% per year if it's not your homestead, 3% per year if it is. But they can't just go raise your taxes arbitrarily. So, Dave, it's what we call ad valorem taxes. So many homes are paying much less in ad valorem property taxes, and in some cases, far less than what they would be if those caps weren't in place.
Okay, now I've heard that before, ad valorem. What's the meaning of it, though? I don't know. I've heard it, but I don't understand.
Yeah, that's easy. So it's just the tax that is derived from an assessed value on your home. So it's the value of the real estate, again, with the tax rate applied to it.
I've gotten this in the mail, haven't I, before, from the county assessor's office. I do get a notification of what it is with a bunch of numbers on it. And Kim's more of the numbers person, so she might understand it, she might not. So help me make heads or tails of this.
Okay, good. So you get that in October of every year. The county assessor can see what houses are selling for around yours, right?
Yes.
They get deeds that are filed. They can look at documentary stamps and see how much homes sold for inside a neighborhood. So they're looking at that data, Dave, to determine what they think yours is worth. It's like looking at comparable sales if you're a realtor sitting down with your customer and describing how much a home is worth. So they figure how much it's worth, and then they multiply that percentage. In Oklahoma County, again, it's 11%.
Okay.
So, Dave, if they said your home was worth $350,000 today, and they multiplied it times 11%, you get that assessed value, and then you multiply it times the millage rate. Now, millage rate is like improvements in your area. Bridges, libraries, school districts. So for a lot of years, Deer Creek School District tax millage rates for the houses in those areas were very, very high because they were building schools and improving the infrastructure so quickly. That's what changes your millage rate every year. So the county assessor just comes up with that value, multiplies it times the taxable market value. That's what's allowed. It's capped. Your home may be going up in value a lot, but it started somewhere, and they can only go up 5% per year. Here's another quick example, Dave. You and I have talked how real estate here has appreciated at least 35% since 2020. But if your taxes are capped and you live in your home at going up no more than 3% per year, the assessed value, the taxes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, 3% cap times 4 years is only 12% up on your assessed value and ultimately your taxes. But your property value's gone up 35%.
Yes.
That's this huge gap where homeowners should be happy that they are paying less taxes than they really should.
When we get back to really the title of this segment, it's not that, hey, we think these are too low, they should go up. It's that they could be a lot higher. We should be ecstatic that these taxes are low on these homes.
So if I go buy your home from you today for $350,000 and the county assessor thought it was worth $310,000, they go in and say, oh, I see, it sold for $350,000. That must be the market value. And now they can go back in and reassess those taxes for up to 12 months after that sale and look and say, it sold for $350,000. And that's what we're going to base them on. And it's not going to do you any good to go romping and stomping down to the courthouse and say, hey, wait a minute. I looked at this home and the taxes were down here, but now I bought it and the taxes jumped up to here. And the assessor's going to look you in the face and say, but you paid $350,000 for it. And that's what it's worth. And that's what we're going to
And the county goes,
the assessed value on.
So they love it. They're really excited about it. I never really thought about it that way.
I think the big point here, Dave, is don't look at what the taxes are right now. Look at Wally and Cindy's home. If somebody bought it today and said, there's what the taxes are, I think they were $2,173 a year. But if we went and sold it for $303 today, which is what it's worth, they're going to jump up 35% on taxes. So be very careful when you're purchasing to look at what they are now, but base it on what your new sales price is going to be.
So these caps on these taxes, you talk about the homestead tax of 3%, and then if you just own a property, maybe renting it out 5%. Those caps are really to protect property taxes from going too high too fast, right?
Yeah, sure. This would be a hardship for people if suddenly home values went up 35% over 4 years and the property taxes went up 35%.
Yeah, boy, all of a sudden, I mean, you talk about going up a little bit on a home payment that's $1,500, and now all of a sudden you got an extra $1,000. I mean, I don't know what numbers to pull out of my head, but if all of a sudden you had to come up with an extra $700 a month,
or even if they were $3,000 more in a year's time, over 12 payments, that's $250 a month, and that would cripple a lot of people.
Yes.
So Dave, again, in a nutshell, the assessed value that your taxes will be based on cannot rise more than 3% per year if it's your homestead property and you're living in it, or if it's land. And then not more than 5% increase per year if it's an investment.
So that really helps us all out. Yeah, this can get kind of confusing. I can see that. And we're only a few months away from Halloween, so I always like to say, who are you going to call? But we're not going to call Ghostbusters in this situation.
Give me a call on this one.
We're going to call
I can help
Wally.
out.
You can help out, right?
Yeah, if we had video to this show, I could probably put up a big screen, use some bar graphs and explain this a little bit better. A little harder to describe on the radio, but if you've got any questions about this, shoot me a text or give me a call and I'll help.
Well, I will attend the next Wally Kerr Lunch and Learn and get some more information on that. We're going to wrap up the show. Stick around. We're back in just a few minutes.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
What's best for you when selling your home? Full market value typically comes from listing your home so that more buyers can find it. Or you can sell to an investor for less. You can actually get either one at your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. We'll agree to sell your home guaranteed at a price agreeable to you, or we'll buy it ourselves. And if you need a quick sale, we'll get you multiple offers from investors who can close in 2 weeks or less. Explore your options today. Call us at your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty at 330-3000. 330-3000.
The Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show is presented every weekend at 11 a.m. on Saturday, and the show repeats Sundays at noon right here on KOKC. Let's get back to the discussions about how to buy right and sell for more with Wally and Cindy, along with Dave McKay.
Just real quick as we wrap up the show, Wally, next weekend is Labor Day weekend. Football kicks off in
It is
earnest.
Labor Day this weekend, isn't it? I think about that first weekend of football, and it's so early this year on August 30th because it's on a Friday night. I guess I didn't realize this was Labor Day weekend coming up so fast.
So we get to go to the game on Friday night if you're going to the game, and then you get to wake up, watch College Game Day on Saturday, watch all the games, eat the nachos and pizza, enjoy the whole weekend. And the State Fair is coming up. And is Cindy competing at the State Fair? Did I hear that?
Yeah, she is. She's doing the World Show again this year. And she is in Western Dressage, and she loves going and showing. And even though the crowds aren't that big, whenever she goes up and competes to move forward to her next class.
Yes.
You know, she wants to get up to Grand Prix, which is as good as you can do in Western Dressage. I think it's Grand Prix.
Okay.
But she loves going out and letting the little kids see her all tacked up with her horse.
Yeah.
You can go out and see her. Text us if you want to know, and you can go out and see Cindy's show at the State Fair. Wow, it is just, here you come, football.
Yes.
Labor Day, county fairs, State Fair of Oklahoma. Boy, it's just blazing.
Tim got moved in already, starting his senior year of college. And, you know, he's on the equestrian team. So I'm going to have to see that weekend's open, that'd be great because he and I will have to jump on over to the State Fair and watch Cindy ride. He would get a kick out of that.
You know, Dave, the only thing I don't like about this time of year is we're just not winter people. We're outdoors people.
Yeah, I get that.
And I'm a slalom skier, and the lake takes a long time to heat back up by next May or June. So, but a lot of good things coming up to look forward to.
We can look forward to next week. We'll be here bright and early at 11 a.m. if that's bright and early for some people. It is.
Yeah, we hope you'll join us on Labor Day weekend next weekend, since that's what it is. But Dave, great to see you this week. Look forward to next week's show.
This has been the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally and Cindy Kerr. Heard every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. and replayed on Sundays at noon right here on 1520 a.m. and 95.3 FM KOKC. Selling or buying a home is a major decision in life, and you can place your trust in Wally and Cindy as local experts with over 35 years of real estate experience. Call or text them today at 330-3000 to request a personal visit or consultation. And be sure to visit WallyTalksHouses.com to access the library of shows and topics available for download.